Oh,
How are you, John?
I'm good, thanks.
Good to
Thanks
see
for
you.
chatting. Yeah, good
Oh,
to
good to
see you
see you.
again, my friend. Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a while since level two training, which was quite a few years ago. It feels like quite a few years ago.
I get confused whether it was
Or,
2017 or 2018. Might have been 19.
it was the start of 2019. It was February 2019.
Mm, yeah,
So, yeah, how's it all been going? How's all the QHHT sessions and everything you've been doing?
they're good fun. Yeah, they're loads of fun. Mm. QHHC's
Been
always
loads
fun.
of fun. Some
It's always
interest.
interesting.
It's always fascinating what comes in the door, isn't it? Like with people, I mean, it's never the same with what a person comes in with. I find
Mm.
what their questions are and what's happening for them health wise and personally. It's just such a variety that I feel like sometimes I'm always dancing on my feet with different clients. You know, it's like it just never can compare
Uh-huh.
uh, to a life.
That's what makes it fun, though.
Yeah, it definitely does, and just even the experiences of people, their life experiences, and what's happened to them is just incredible.
Mm. Yeah, it's good fun. Yeah, that's what I always tell people. Like, just go with it. No matter what happens in the session, you don't have to believe it. Just go with it. Because you could be
Yeah,
anything. Anything.
yeah, yeah. It's amazing if you've got somebody and they come off the induction or off the cloud and they're a fish, or they're a mermaid, or they're up in a ship in the sky, or they're inside a rock cabin in Ireland or in some English European place,
Oh my God,
or
you
they're in
could
a
be
teepee, or
anything.
so
Yeah.
many things, stories, isn't there?
Oh, it's infinite possibilities. I'll never say that I've had everything because even last week I had a
No,
couple of firsts. I had a lady that was seaweed. Right.
seaweed.
Yeah, it was really cool. Yeah, so that was her first life on Earth because it was very similar to being in Source because she was kind of just floating around in
Yeah.
Source and she was just floating and not really doing much. Yeah, so she's like, oh, I'll go down to Earth and be seaweed. I think I'll be seaweed. Yeah, so she was just protecting the fish, but she wasn't emotionally attached to the fish at all. But she was just kind of just looking around and just cruising, and she could rejuvenate if when the fish ate her, she could rejuvenate and stuff. So it was a very cruisy life. Yeah, I was like, wow, seaweed's pretty cool.
I wonder what she learned in that lifetime.
It was just a nice introductory life to Earth. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it was a nice gateway to it. Mm,
yeah.
yeah,
I remember one of my first bottoms, a lady came back and she was a rock,
yeah.
and all she could see was being a rock. She could see a pathway, uh, and we couldn't move her anywhere in that lifetime except just with what she could see. And it was so reflective of her life at that particular time. She just
Mm.
felt really stuck.
She would have been stuck. Yeah,
Just couldn't move anywhere. It was so reflective of what was going on for her at the time.
yeah.
It was
It's
amazing.
interesting, isn't it? Yeah. I had a lady
Yeah, yeah, it is. And
the lady the other day. She was on a different planet, but she was a rock, but she had a little head attached to the rock.
oh
Yeah,
wow,
yeah. That was the first scene that we dropped into, and then when I moved her on to get the rest of the story, she was actually on a ship that crashed and on this other planet, and everybody else had perished, but she was there for so long that she didn't need any energy as such, but her body was so long there that it solidified and it turned into a rock. And the last thing was her head because all she was doing was just looking at the sky and she was just waiting to dissolve. Yeah. So we kind of looped back around to the last day. And then, so she went to the last day first, and then we kind of got the story and then we looped back around. So it was really fascinating. Yeah. Yeah.
so you brought it back. Yeah, wow.
Well, she just naturally went back there. Mm.
Yeah. It's amazing, isn't it? And what comes through. I mean, you've just got to be open to anything is possible.
Anything is possible.
People's experiences.
Yeah, things that you couldn't even possibly imagine.
Exactly. It's quite surprising when people find themselves looking out of a window and they're on a spaceship and they're looking at a space station, or they're looking at some sort of planet, or they're just even in spirit, or they've just got no body at all and they're just floating around a planet and looking at it and observing it and just observing what's going on, and there's no body. They're just like energy.
Yeah. Just observers.
Observing. They're just like observing it and taking notes too. It's like taking information, what they observe, what they see, and they're just there in bliss as well. I just love being there and no body and just like being in that energy.
Yeah.
I find that sometimes when people pass over, if they die as well, and they're in sort of source, or they're in with God or the Creator, or there's like angels or energy around them, they just feel like they're in heaven or wherever, Nirvana even, and they just love being there. And they don't want to come out. They just want to stay in there. They just want to. It's like it's a nice, blissful place to be. They just don't want to move. They just want to. So I just leave them there. Just leave them there. Let them stay there for a while and let them enjoy that for a little bit while they're in that space.
Yeah, that's what happened today. In today's session, the client was a really quick past life, and then yeah, she was right into. She wasn't into spirituality, but she always wondered what happened when we die, when we leave the body. So her whole session, it was a really quick life. Like we only saw one scene, and then she was dying, and then she died. So then I said, well, what happens next? You know, let's stay in this life, but let's see what happens next to you. And she went into the basically the void, if you want to call it source, or where there's everything but there's nothing. And then her guide came, because they all got killed as a village, so they had the journey together. And then there was an energy there that was telling them that it's okay, and they went through the whole life review. And then all I kept asking her was, well, what are you doing there? And she was like, oh, and this is what I do, and then this is what I do in here. I said, well, what else do you do in there? So, oh, I can go over to this place, and I can go over to that place. And yeah, and she met her angel. She met her angels in there, and all sorts of stuff. Yeah, it was really fascinating. Yeah.
Sounds amazing. And did you see her questions that she asked, what she came in with? Did that sort of like create a theme of what she saw today? Did that like, she just wondered what it was like after death, or what it was like after dying and things? Was that one of the questions?
Yeah. No, it wasn't one of her questions. It was just in general conversation that I had with her. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. She was actually she found out she was actually quite an old soul, but she hasn't been on Earth that many times, only half a dozen times. Yeah.
So it's incredible what comes through. Do you find with the QHHT sessions, there's a difference between the QHHT and just normal past life regression or life between lives? You notice there's a difference in that?
Yes, with past life regression, you only do it at the end of the life. That's it. You kind of stop. So with the past life regression, we'll actually lead you into a past life with past life regression. We'll actually lead you into it. So whereas QHHT, you might not go to a past life. You might go to a parallel life, or you might go to a future life, or you might go into this current life. Whereas past life regression will actually lead you back into a past life, but we stop it on the last day. As soon as we find out how you die, that's it. And then you kind of got to work out your own answers there. That's why I like the most famous past life regressionist is Dr. Brian Weiss. Amazing man, the most beautiful soul to ever walk the planet currently. He's just such a beautiful soul. But he's a psychiatrist, so he only had 40 minutes to spend with his clients.
Yeah.
So that's all the time that he had, but he could have 10 sessions with clients.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then what happens is, so he'll do a past life regression on them, and then if they didn't work out what that life meant to them, because sometimes it doesn't mean anything to them. They can't logically work it out.
Yeah.
And if Dr. Brian and Dr. Brian Weiss puts it in his book, says like sometimes we go to lives and we just don't know why they saw that. Whereas QHHT keeps going after the life.
Yeah.
And then we tie it all up. Like, what has that life got to do with their life now? How does that even relate to it?
Yeah.
So then that other part of them, that other aspect of them can answer that question. So we actually tie it all up because it might not make any logical sense at all.
True.
But the other aspect of them, because it thinks differently, we're like, oh, I showed them this. This is because, blah, 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 blah. And you're like, oh, well, that makes sense. Oh, okay. Well, so that's a big difference, yeah. And the life between lives is more the spirit side. So we might lead them into a past life, and then we'll lead them into the spirit world, kind of like what happened today, but today was authentic. So she just spontaneously went there. Because when she left that body, I said, well, what happens next? Because sometimes in the QHHT session, they'll leapfrog into another past life. So we're just winging it the whole time. Whereas life between lives, the purpose of it is to get them into the spirit world and get them in touch with their guides and their angels and stuff like that. So in a life between life, they still get to ask their questions, but we get their angels and their guides' perspective on those questions.
Yeah.
Whereas QHHT, Dolores wants their subconscious or their higher self to answer the questions.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's that's the main difference between the three of them.
Yeah, it's fascinating. It's before I ever did quantum healing hypnosis, I just had my own experiences. Dr. Brian Weiss, Life Between Lives, and then doing past life regressions in one-on-ones and also in groups. And that's what I found with quantum healing is that I was able to find out information and ask questions where all the other sessions, some of it I had to work out myself. I could view things, I could see things, and I could get all this information. However, I could see how it could relate to this life, but I couldn't so much get the answers to the questions I had. I sort of was great to see. Really, it was amazing to see some of the things and to review some of those lives. But it's yeah, I just couldn't get the healing aspect of quantum healing either. That wasn't part of it either.
Yeah.
Doing the healing aspect, being able to, like as you said, tie it all up and complete it and get some answers. And that's what I've noticed the difference with people too. Is that they get some answers that helps them move forward in this lifetime.
Yeah. A good example of that, the difference is that lady that was the rock with the head. That was an ET that with a where it crashed. Was it that one? No, it was a different one. It was a different one. This lady found herself. She was in a humanoid body, but she was on a planet and it was really, really dry, like a really dry planet. And she was an engineer on there. Like she made all the helped make all the buildings and stuff like that. But they did a mass evacuation, and the Pleiadians came and got them and put them on a different planet and scattered them out to different planets to have different experiences because that planet was going too close to the sun, and that's what was drying it out. And the Pleiadians knew that there wasn't much time left. So she was in a humanoid body, and then when they put her on a different planet, she changed form and stuff to adapt to that planet. Now, she wanted to know where she came from. Like, that was one of her questions.
Right.
So if we just did the past life regression, she would have thought that she came from that dry planet, and the dry planet blew up. And there wasn't many of them. There was only like a few thousand of them. But then when I asked that question, I said, well, where does she originally come from? And they said, well, she's actually a Pleiadian as well, but she wanted to help that dry planet. So she went down there, but she spent thousands of years there. And she had that form like the locals, but she didn't actually originally come from there. And then when she went back to the Pleiades. But if she would have just done the past life regression, she would have thought that she was from that dry planet that blew up.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So that's a big difference. Whereas the QHHT session, we can really tie it up and dig and get a lot more information on it, so it doesn't leave you hanging.
Yeah. So it certainly makes sense, particularly when people are asking about their star origins and are they Palladian or are they Arcturian or are they Andromedian? And then you get some people that have been everywhere. They've been to this planet and that planet and this planet, and they've been like galactic travelers even. They're learning here, they're like a soul on a journey that's going to Earth, or they're going to this planet, going to that planet. It's quite fascinating that people aren't always just corralled into one star seed or galactic planet or whatever. Which I find really fascinating.
Have experiences on lots, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really interesting. You find out so much about yourself having these sessions.
Definitely. It is. It is interesting to hear people's experiences too about I've had particularly in the last 12 months, a lot more people coming in and talking about, even the last 2 years even, about the changes, earth changes that are happening at the present moment. What have you noticed there? Have you noticed that sort of people noticing different experiences, like they're having different timeline experiences and not all the same of their own experience of the earth changes?
There's it depends if they're into the earth or not, if their soul's into the earth or not. There's a few that are and a few that aren't.
Yes, that's interesting.
Yeah, like me personally, aren't. So, like me personally, have so much faith in the earth itself that the earth is fine.
Yeah.
There's no problem with the earth itself at all. You know, she could recover in months, I reckon.
Yeah, right.
It wouldn't take her very long at all to heal at all.
Yeah.
So I have so much faith that she's going to be okay. I think the only problem on Earth is the humans on there. So my job is to help the humans, not worry about the Earth.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people here that are for the Earth to raise her vibration and stuff like that. Yeah. So but it has changed. Yeah. I think it's because she's going in a big shift as well.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
and it's coming in. Humans try and control it, but she's shifting. You can't control her. She's too big, and she's on her own journey.
I tend to agree with that. She's got her own consciousness, and I've always seen the Earth as like a big elephant with some fleas on it. That if she wanted to, she could just shake the fleas off like an elephant could with the humans.
Yeah, easy.
The humans think that they can have a bigger impact than what they are, but it's like, the Earth is just such an expansive consciousness and frequency that my understanding it's going through, from what I'm hearing from people's sessions as well, that the Earth is going through this frequency upgrade that is raising the vibration of the Earth, and whether the people on the Earth are in tune with that or not, some are sort of going with that and some may be resisting that in that evolutionary process of what the Earth is going to. And I sort of can see what Dolores was talking about, Dolores Cannons was talking about that there was that splitting of two earths, and of like what was talked about, the new earth moving from the old earth. What I'm sort of gathering is that there is just it's like a vibrational frequency that's increasing, that is going from a less denser planet, and it's going to do it anyway, or it's doing it anyway, whether we like it or not. And it's a matter of us adjusting to that sort of planetary change, I suppose.
Yeah. Yeah. I think people must get mistaken because logically the human brain believes what it sees, and the picture that they have is two earths splitting off like this.
Yeah.
But it's not actually two earths, because people go, oh, when's it going to happen? You know, I want to be on the ships where they take us to this new earth, but it's this earth. It's more of a split in consciousness.
Yeah.
So people are splitting, and you can see the split in consciousness. People are splitting away, and I always say it's almost like the city folk and the country folk.
Yeah.
Like the cities are getting denser and denser and denser, and you can feel it. If you're not a city folk, you can feel the energy there, and it's like, oh my God, get me out of here. This place is crazy.
Yeah.
Like this is my perspective, they're so busy because all they're worried about is chasing. They're all trying to get the penthouse of this thing, and they're all trying to get the Ferrari, and they're all trying to get this, in the meantime, they're forgetting about their kids and what really means, and they're making themselves so sick because they're chasing.
Yeah.
Whereas the split, like there's so many people out there that want a more simple life.
Yeah.
They want to simplify their life, and they actually want to enjoy their life, not chase so many things. Like so many people would be so happy if they just have, a house to themselves with a little block of land, solar power, so they're not reliant on society too much. Little block of land, they can have sheep, chickens, whatever, grow their own veggies, and they'll be as happy as anything.
Yeah.
That's a huge shift. Yeah.
Yeah. I've just done it 5 months ago.
Yeah.
After coming from the country, going into the city, and then finally moving out of the sort of city environment or more denser population. Just done it 5 months ago, and yeah, really feels like coming home again.
Yeah.
Doing exactly that with chickens and growing vegetables and in a hempcrete house, and just not totally off the grid, but it's like more simplified lifestyle.
Yeah. And how do you and your family feel compared to when you're in the city?
Better sleep, more happier, more relaxed, and to the point where we don't feel like we need to go anywhere. We don't need to. It's really funny where we don't feel like we need to go somewhere to escape, or have to go to Europe, or have to go somewhere. I'm 5 minutes out of Noosa, and I find I hardly even go in there.
Yeah.
I mean, so it's funny. It's really funny. It's like it's on 5 acres, and it's just really the first time in a long time feeling like being at home. Where 35 years ago I left the country and moved to the city and lived in different types of urban environments. So it's really it's just a lot more relaxing for all of us. There's more to do though around the house.
Yeah.
There's more to do. Like
there's more maintenance. Yeah.
There's more maintenance. Yeah, definitely. So that's the other element, which is great. It's good for life, for fitness, and just health wise as well. And then I've got a fire pit. I've got a fire pit, so I can.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, tap into the old ancient sort of memories of having fires.
Yeah, fire's amazing.
Yeah.
Very powerful element.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, it's certainly interesting. Even having worked with people for many years, 20 years of working in health and wellness retreats, I used to work with mind, body, and spirit, and creating a platform of transformation for people in health retreats who've come from big urban cities, and what you were talking about, where they're just like chasing their tail, and they may be making huge money, and some of them are real movers and shakers, but aspects of their life is really suffering, including their health, and that's what I was saying. Their health was suffering, their connection to their soul and spirit too. The connection was like that we created a disconnect.
Yeah.
Never forget a international banker who said to me, and he transfers millions, if not billions, around the world with what he did. And he said, "Oh, you must really love your life, and with what you do." And I said, "Yeah, I pretty well do. I enjoy what I do." And he said, "Yeah, I can't stand life." And it was like he had everything he could want, you know.
All the stuff.
Yeah, but he wasn't happy. It was really, I'll never forget that. And I remember volunteering in Calcutta many years ago. Like this is 30 years ago. I volunteered in Mother Teresa's centres in bits of Calcutta, and going out and doing work on this, like volunteer work. And there was this big shed full of people who were untouchables, just left to die on the streets. And there was a team of us who'd come in and feed them and shower them and put nice clothes on them. And I remember this little skinny guy, I felt like I could pick him up with one hand. He was so light. And he could speak Hindi or Hindu, but he couldn't speak English. And he was fighting with me as I was trying to put this shirt on him. And the shirt I was putting on him had a rip in it, but he didn't want the shirt with the rip in it. He wanted the other one sitting on the pile that didn't have a rip in it. So I finally worked out with him struggling with all his might, but he didn't want that shirt. I got the other shirt, put it on him, and he was so happy. So happy. And I'll never forget that time in Calcutta where people didn't have a lot, but it was just this simplicity and just they call it the city of joy, you know. And I saw that actually. I saw these people that didn't have much, but the simplest things could really bring them joy, which was amazing.
Puts a lot of things in perspective, doesn't it?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Certainly.
All of a sudden you become very humble. And appreciative.
Yeah, I'll never forget that moment. I just thought, wow. So it was a really good lesson for me at the time.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
It sounds like that banker that went there. He was too far in his mind. Disconnect from his body. Disconnect from the spirit. Just all up here.
Yeah. I used to call them walking, talking heads.
Yeah.
It was like there was this no connection, and one of the things we would be doing is with a team of people is getting them to connect back into their body, into their feeling. What's their emotions and feelings telling them?
Start grounding.
Yeah, grounding. Yeah, and sometimes it wasn't counselling they needed. They needed massage. They needed to put their feet in the mud or on the ground. And get into their body. And things like that.
Counseling's no good to that. They have to get into the body because they're not even aware of their body. They're not even aware of where they're holding all this trauma. Yeah, they've just stuffed. They've just ignored it. They've just cut it. Yeah, their poor body.
Yeah, definitely. And you know when we get people who are coming to quantum healing and they're just they are in that sort of headspace, and getting them to relax and just allow to come into the right side of the brain where the images and symbols are, and out of that left logical, analytical. And I'm sure you've had experiences as well where sometimes it's like trying to slow a freight train down. It's so active. There's a lot going on up there. There's a lot going on with all that mental activity. And I tell you, you've certainly, I've found that I've certainly earned my pennies, like with bringing people down into that relaxed space and tapping into the right side of the brain. There's a few sessions I can recall where it was like every bag of trick that Dolores had, I just about went through the whole bag to help some people. I don't know if you've found that, John, but I certainly have with some people with that active mental mind.
I used to, but probably in the last 2 years, I put it out there that because I used to really enjoy the heavy sessions. I used to really love it. Like, give me the heavy ones. You know, give me the cancers and the,
Why
you
did you
know,
ask for that?
and the one, yeah, yeah, totally, yeah, and give me the really hard ones, the tough ones, and the real left brainers and stuff. And then I got to a point, and I was like, I just want to have fun now. I just want fun ones. And since then, in the last 2 years, I've probably had one heavy one.
Yeah.
The rest have just been fun, like
Um,
pure fun. Yeah. Because I listened to Suzanne Spooner. I was like, she's having so much fun. I want to have fun.
yeah.
I don't want these heavy ones anymore. Yeah.
Yeah. I
So,
like that.
so yeah,
I like
maybe they
that.
go and find you. I don't know who they find, but they don't find me.
I
Yeah.
don't find it.
They go and
Yeah.
find somebody else. Yeah.
I don't find it.
I had this guy ring me up once, and he was in such a tiz. His wife left him, and oh my God, he was so intense. He's
Yeah.
such an intense guy. And he's like, tell me about the sessions. What are they all about? I was like, mate, I just have fun in my sessions. He was like, I'm not after fun. I'm after serious. I went, mate, you better go find someone else then. Because I'm telling you, if you don't want to have fun in the sessions, I don't really want to, I don't really want to see you. And he texted me later and he's like, I really want a session with you. And I was like, mate, I was like, I think the one thing in your life you're missing is fun. And then he called me up like 3 days later and he was like, you know what? I really thought about it. And he was like, I'm ready to have some fun. I was like, good. Well, you can come in and see me then. Yeah. And he was, you know, it was just a total change of attitude. Yeah. So he was trying to bring
Yeah.
me to his level,
Yeah.
like, and he was trying to get me intense and, oh, we've got to do this and we've got to do that. I was like, mate.
Yeah.
But he realized that that's why his wife left, because he was such an intense person. His wife just couldn't take it anymore.
Yeah, right.
Like, just imagine that. Who wants to live with somebody who's intense 24/7?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, which is all his upbringing. It was his dad. It was his dad and all that
Yeah.
sort of stuff. And yeah, so it was
How'd
really,
he go? How'd he go? Did he sort of
yeah, it
have
was
some?
amazing.
We
Yeah.
had some fun. He was ready to have some fun.
Oh, he was laughing and all sorts of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. That's a
Mm.
good story. That's a really good story. Like,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
and how you were able to just to put out there that you want to have fun with your sessions, and then even he came around to that. He thought about that,
He thought about it. Yeah.
so even before he walked in your door, he'd already given some thought to that.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Yeah. He'd already had a perspective change on it. Yeah. So he was ready to come in and have some fun. Yeah.
That's great. That's brilliant.
Yeah. He kind of owned up to everything in the session, you know. Like he took his part of the responsibility, which before that he didn't want to. He just wanted to blame everybody else.
Yeah.
Mm. So he sort of just quietened down and just relaxed into it, and just
Yeah.
kind of thought about it.
Yeah. That's brilliant.
So it was good. I was like, oh, good. Yeah. Yeah. He left. I went, see you, mate. Good luck.
Good on you. It's amazing, isn't it? I remember one lady who came to see me, really intelligent, highly qualified lady in her field, and she had that strong mental mind again, and she was creating all these structures and structures and structures and structures in
Details.
her life, layers on layers and layers. And I herself came in, and my God, it said to her, if you don't deal with this, all these other questions mean nothing.
Nothing.
And it was like, because she did have a serious illness which she could die from, and it was like an anaphylaxis type illness that she'd already had many times. And her higher self just was like nailing her to the ground. It was like telling her off and saying there's no point going buying that house, and no point doing this, and no point doing that. You need to deal with this. And that was a big message. It was just amazing how the higher self comes through. Just was like just giving her a lecture on stuff.
Yeah.
And
it's probably because her higher self has been trying to communicate with her for so long, and usually it's quite lovely and it's beautifully supported. But when people don't listen to it, the only way it can get the message across is just yelling and screaming, like, you're not listening. You got to do this. Yeah,
Yeah.
without her health, God, she could have 20 houses. But what's the point of having that and you're lying in the hospital?
Well, yeah,
You
or
can't even breathe.
that's
Waste
it.
of time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. And,
Yeah.
and it was just like she had to deal with that.
She sounds like a control freak. Usually people like that have control issues. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's because usually people like that are control freaks, and they want to control everything because they're too scared of getting things wrong. Yeah. So it really comes from a fear. Like the energy behind it is fear. Yeah.
Yeah. It's certainly that sort of way of being and trying to control everything certainly slows the journey down a little bit, slows the messages down, and trying to have everything in a box, and certainly sort of OCD like. This has to be here and here and here. It doesn't allow for much fun though, does it?
No, it's too rigid.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
it's too rigid because they want to be in control.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like perfectionism in a way. People got that perfectionism driver. It's like sometimes it's like they're beating themselves up on the inside that I'm not perfect enough, not perfect enough. So they've got these high perfection drivers and anxiety drivers to try and control the future.
Yeah. Usually that comes from childhood stuff. Usually that comes from being criticized. So they might have a parent where they might get, if they've got parents like, if they get 99% and their parents bag them and say, "What's wrong with you? Why didn't you get 100%?" You know, and then like, "Oh my God, I've got to be perfect. Oh my God, I've got to be perfect. If I'm not perfect, well then I'm a piece of shit. I'm not worthy of my dad's love." So then they try and strive for perfection the rest of their life, but they're not striving for perfection. They're actually striving for one of their parents' approval, and it's the inner side going, just appreciate me. Look what I've achieved. Yeah, you get that a lot.
Yeah, there's the inner child that's just calling out, isn't there? There's this young child there in their feelings, just wanting to be approved of.
Acknowledged and loved for who they are, not the grades that they get.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. But then their parent might have been the same thing as well and put all that pressure on them. So it just becomes normal.
It's really interesting, isn't it? Those family ancestral paths or ancestral patterns and behaviors and things that are passed down. And recently I did a workshop on family constellations where you look at where you are in the family and your mum and dad and your mother's side, your father's side.
Where you sit in the family.
And where you are in the family, what number you are. And it was just amazing to see how these patterns of behaviors, they're not just even from this life, they can come down through the ancestors, whether you've been one of those ancestors as well and brought that through to learn from it, even in this lifetime. It's really fascinating to see how doing that work, it really brings in some healing as well.
Yeah.
Aligning.
Yeah. It's actually my favorite subject to study is human patterns and behaviors. Why humans do what they do. Yeah. Humans are actually quite simple creatures. We just make it complicated, that's all.
I did have a teacher many years ago in herbal medicine who was an ex-Pentridge, the jail Pentridge. She was an ex-prison warden. And she used to say, she became a naturopath and herbalist. She said, life's simple, people complicated.
Yeah, she's correct.
Yeah. She'd always accused me of being on drugs, but I never was. I was just doing night shift at the time. But she was a great teacher. She is a great teacher. Yeah, life's simple, people complicated.
100%.
Yeah, it just amazes me when I hear people's stories sometimes. I'm thinking, oh my God, that just added more complexity.
You're complicating your life.
Yeah.
Even Dolores Cannon, talking to Suzanne Spooner and Marilyn Dyke and and all the greats, they heard Dolores Cannons say to practitioners a million times, you're complicating it. Stop complicating the technique. It is so simple. Just keep it simple. And even when I have sessions with clients, I go, just keep it simple. Don't complicate it. This is the easiest thing in the world. Just keep it simple. Just trust the first thing that comes to mind and spit it out. Yeah. Just tell me what's going on. Don't worry about anything else. It's so simple and so easy.
Yeah. Good words. Just keep it simple.
Keep it simple. Yeah, it's so easy. Don't complicate it. Yeah.
Mr. Stupid, have a seat in the lounge and just sit back and watch what's going on.
Yeah, that's why I say it doesn't have to believe it. And that's okay. Yeah, you just got to tell me what's going on.
Yeah. Sometimes explain to people like we're looking for information. We want to find information that can help you now in this life so you can move forward. And I said it's sort of like you can imagine a big data bank in the sky or a big cloud that's got all this information, or like it's like a hard drive in the computer, and like we're going to find some past lives that has information. Now, whether you've lived that life or not, your higher self is going to pick out a file and show you that lifetime so that you can get information and then you can move forward. And don't even worry about if you've lived it or not. So it's information that's going to help you move forward. It's the most important thing.
It's actually interesting having sessions yourself. Like I've had so many sessions myself. When I'm in it, I can actually tell which one's been my experiences and which one I'm actually an imprint. Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah. There's a real vibration switch in it, but you've got to do quite a few sessions to get that understanding. Yeah, but it's cool fun. Yeah.
Are you doing self-hypnosis, or are you seeing somebody, having a session with someone? Or?
Sometimes practitioners just want to practice on me. I had one with Jody Mitchell. She did the level 2 with us. Yeah, she came in because she wanted to do a practice one. Yeah, so that was good fun. Yeah. But another one was just a guided meditation. So that was pretty interesting. Yeah, I could definitely tell that was an imprint. Yeah.
And when you say imprint, what do you mean by imprint? What do you mean by that?
It means that you'll go. So an imprint might be like if somebody goes and they're one scene, they might be Jesus. Right? Doesn't mean that they are Jesus. It means that they might go drop into the body there to get a message or to know what it feels like to be him.
Yeah.
Because it's important for them to feel that or to know it.
Yeah.
So my example of an imprint was I wondered why, because I'm all for the medical system. People get a bit shocked when I say that. But I'm like, I'm not against the medical system. I think medical science is amazing.
Yeah.
But I wanted to know why, because I'm sitting on the fence here. But I wanted to know why. I was like, why am I like this? Like most people are way over this side or they're way over that side. So then what happened was I went back in my mind and I remember going into a cave, and it wasn't that long ago, and I saw this old lady there, and I was a natural healer. So I was into herbs and plant medicine and all that sort of stuff. And I couldn't help her. And because I was like the village healer and I just couldn't help her.
Yeah.
And I felt really bad. But then somebody else got somebody else to come in. And that was when penicillin was just found out.
Really?
And they were still experimenting.
Wow.
And this penicillin worked like that. I was like, oh my God.
That's not long ago.
That's not long ago. I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. I was like, that's amazing. I love that stuff. I was like, who are you and what are you doing? But then what I did was I actually hopped in the, so I left that body and I hopped into the penicillin guy's body. And I could feel what he was doing. He was like, this is new. I don't know if this is going to work because it's actually killed a few people. And then he tried to help another person, but he couldn't. And then so he got the natural healer, and the natural healer could help that person. The penicillin didn't do anything.
Yeah.
And then I kind of floated away and I was like, oh, that's why we're supposed to be helping each other, not fighting against each other.
Yeah.
I was like,
complementary
that
medicine, integrative medicine. Yeah. Complementary medicine. That's how I see it. It's integrative complementary medicine. And sure, there's pros and against on both sides, pros and cons on both sides.
Exactly, 100%.
But working together is definitely a better way to go than sort of two sides of it.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I'm lucky because I work with heaps of doctors. I work with so many doctors, get their clients to come and see me, mainly for the clinical hypnosis and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I also get a lot of psychologists that can't help their clients. I've had a lot of psychologists that have been clients, and because they want to know their past history and where they're from and all that sort of stuff. But they send their clients to me. Yeah, and we have like phenomenal results with them because the psychology is so in the box.
Yeah.
They're not allowed to go outside of the box too far, even though they believe outside of the box. They're not allowed to. Whereas because I'm unregulated, man, let's just blow this box up and see where you go. Let's see where you end up. Let's go, jack in the box. Go as far out as you want to.
Yeah.
So it's really.
Yeah. Is that a lot of clinical or both QHHT and clinical?
It depends on the client. Yeah, and what they want to do. Yeah. But if somebody just, I get a lot of doctors ringing me up and go, oh, this guy's got anxiety or that guy's got anxiety, and the pills aren't quite doing it for them, and they want alternatives. So I'm going to get them to call you. And I was like, yeah, cool, that's okay. Yeah. Or stop smoking or something like that.
Yeah. Have you ever had a doctor ring up and say, I'd like you to do a QHHT on this client? I just don't seem to be getting anywhere. You have?
No, but I've had doctors ring up for QHHT sessions. Yeah. There's a lot of open doctors out there.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah. They're usually into the galactic stuff. Those doctors. Yeah, which is interesting. Yeah. Usually I find the doctors that I've done are usually Arcturian DNA. Yeah. I find that Arcturians come down with conditions, which cracks me up.
Conditions.
Yeah. I find that Arcturians have pretty good lives. If they're going to come down here, it's going to be, I want this and I want that. And yeah, I've never met a Arcturian that's chosen to be homeless or broke or anything like that. I just find Arcturians don't put up with that kind of stuff.
And you find that the Arcturians are more technologically advanced?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and they're quite good looking as well.
They want it all. They want it all. They want everything.
That's what I mean. It comes down with conditions. Yeah, whereas Pleiadians don't really care about that kind of stuff. They're just loving, beautiful creatures,
Yeah. They love everyone.
Yeah. It's really fascinating. Like, it's good for us because we can learn the different kinds of personalities types as well of the different star system. Yeah, because they're all different and they all bring their own gifts and things like that.
And what about yourself, John? Do you align with any sort of galactic race, or are you an Eartharian?
Actually, I'm one of those ones that you talked about, where kind of scatter from different places all over the place. Yeah, which is really interesting to find out about myself.
It is. It definitely is. That's what I've always felt about myself. Is like a traveler.
Yeah.
And been from place to place to place because I can align and relate to the Sirian or the Palladian, and then I can relate to the Arcturian to some degree.
Mm.
Recently, well, it's probably a few months ago now, about 5 months ago, I went and had a session with Mary Rodwell.
Okay.
And who does a lot of galactic work.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was just amazing where it wasn't a full hypnosis. It wasn't sort of hypnosis. It was more going into, I could just go into that space anyway. It was fairly easy to go into that space and then ask questions. But I did have this 9 foot, I think it was even higher than that Andromedian turn up.
Wow, cool.
And like free toes and free fingers and sort of like a different coloured sort of suit on, and yeah, we had some questions answered, which was a really amazing experience. She does amazing work with the Galactics, really, people around the world, and with abductions and people who've had all different types of experiences, which I've had as well throughout my lifetime, and I finally got some answers to some of the things that came up.
Yeah, awesome.
Throughout my lifetime, from sightings to different things. So it's really, it's quite interesting.
So interesting.
See how she operated differently too.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just a different way to get you there.
Yeah, yeah. And it was really just more like a guided visualization and clearing things as well, implants and negativity. Yeah, it was a different process. And she was good friends with Dolores, actually. She was good friends with her. People think she did Dolores' work, but she never did. I thought she did. But she used to, her and Dolores used to catch up in Western Australia when Dolores would come over here. And she'd speak at her groups and stuff like that.
Yeah. Wow, that's so cool. Yeah.
There's more I can say.
Yeah. Sylvia Brown's got she's got a good book called The Mystic Traveller. It's a really good book. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it talks about souls, the traveling souls. Yeah. And I read it once and I was like, oh my God. I was like, that explains so many things.
Yeah, you can relate to it?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I always say us travelers are here on a visitor's pass, not a permanent residency.
Yeah, I've got a visa.
Yeah, visa, a short-term visa. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure how long it lasts, but I'll find out. I'll find out when it expires.
Yeah, not long. Yeah, it's so funny. Yeah. I remember the last session that I had. Oh my God, it's so fun. I was just cracking up laughing at it. On the last day of the life, I remember zipping out of the body, leaving the body in the water. There was a container, and I left the body in the water there in case anybody else wanted to use it, because it was a big body. And it was around the time when humans were just starting to get intelligent. So, and I was there, and we were helping them to build better shelters instead of being in caves and stuff like that. But we were like, oh, shall we teach them about fire? We're like, oh yeah, okay. And they drove me bonkers, absolutely bonkers. And on the last day, there was like an earthquake and stuff, and I was like, sweet, I'm out of here. So, and I remember flying, and I was like, man, I'm fanging it. And the lady said, where are you going? I said, I don't know. I said, but Earth is that way, and I'm going this way, and I'm going so fast. And I remember getting all the information that I had, all the lessons in that, and just throwing it into the cloud and going, they can deal with that. And I was like, oh my, and I felt the frustration. I was like, they drive me bloody bonkers. Oh my God. I was just cracking up laughing. I was just laughing so much. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why you ask for fun people now.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, don't give me the ones that drive me bonkers. Give me the fun ones. Yeah.
Send them up to Peter on the Sunshine Coast. I think I've had one or two. Thank you.
Not on purpose. Yeah.
No, I know. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so good now though, because people will really open up to this kind of stuff, you know?
Oh, it's amazing.
So many people are so much more open-minded these days.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Mm.
Yeah, it is. I've really noticed that. And also I've noticed too in the last few years that people's conscious mind and their subconscious is like, you know, once upon a time, like when I first started years ago, it was like when people came out of the quantum, is that within half an hour they're forgetting what they've seen and experienced and things like that. It was like they'd come out of a sleep dream state, and they're a lot more groggy and a lot more. And now these days, it's like they're more alert. They're more alert, and they're just about remembering nearly everything.
Yeah.
Where I used to notice that with a few people, now I'm noticing it for a lot more people. They seem to be a lot more conscious and less sort of going into amnesia type of thing, forgetting.
Yeah. Yeah, that's because they're conscious and their left and right brains are really merging together, and they're really starting to connect. All the synapses are really connect. Yeah.
Yeah, I've just observed it more and more and more over these last 5 or 6 years or 5 years. Just that more and more and more. It's like it's really obvious from when I first started to now. It's like
it's getting easier and easier.
Yeah. And people going, oh, I thought I was going to be really out of it. I said, well, no, you're still aware of what's going on, but there's more awareness with people.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
I always tell people that's such a good thing, because if you ever have a question in the future, like one question, well, then you can just ask the question and you'll get the answer straight away. It'll just be there. I say the last thing you want is to have one question. You have to go in and get a QHHT session for 4 or 5 hours, get that one question answered, and go, oh, that's the answer. Oh, okay. And then go home. It's like, no, you don't want that. That's bad. Yeah. You want to be conscious and aware. You just don't want to doubt it. You want to trust it. And then you can follow it up with another question, with a better question, and keep that connection going. Keep the phone line going. Yeah. Yeah, it's really interesting.
Beautiful thing, isn't it? That connection going.
Yeah. Everybody's got it. Everybody knows instinctively what's right and wrong, and everybody knows what their own intuition is. Yeah. It's whether you listen to it or not.
That's it. Yeah. Well, it's good to talk to you, John.
Pleasure. Absolute pleasure. It's been such good fun.
Always is.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, you're welcome, John. It's good to talk to you. It's good to talk to you, and I look forward to having a chat with you again.
Yeah, I'm here anytime.
You're here anytime.
Yep.
Way to go, mate.